So, what did we just watch?
We watched episode 4 of Star Trek.
The Next Generation.
And the episode was called?
Code of Honor.
Right.
Right. So, this to me was one of those, it was a good episode. I liked it.
Why?
It was what I thought Star Trek would be.
Which is what?
They go to a planet and they have their differences. Like the Ligonians, they go to this planet Ligonians for vaccine, and they discover this primitive, ritualistic race, and they have to, despite being technically superior, the Enterprise, the team, have to find other ways to overcome this obstacle without resorting to violence. I thought that was neat. And that was the first real time I've seen Star Trek be Star Trek.
Be interesting.
Yep. So, did anything... I think watching this episode, I was aware now, of political issues, agendas and stuff, that this episode, if Star Trek TNG was made today, might not have stuck around too much. Because, race and talking about primitive people and white people, it might be a bit controversial if it was come out today.
Or people would just say it was on the nose about it.
So I'm glad that it's around, because it's still a solid... I thought it was a solid episode. It's the first time they've mentioned the Prime Directive. That first time I've heard that. So tell me what the Prime Directive is.
I'm not super clear on it. It's just like a bunch of rules that Starfleet has to follow, and like one of them is about you can't interfere with another race's development. That's one of them.
What if it was like Hitler, and he was like going crazy and killing people?
Yeah.
Would Starfleet just leave him alone?
I think there's an episode like that, or there's something about a planet dying, but like natural causes, and then there's a question of whether or not they should be getting involved in it. So that was what the episode was about. So there's questions about it, like what is more ethical to do.
Did you like the episode, first off?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised I'm enjoying the older episodes more than I thought I would. I thought I remembered them being bad, but...
And I have heard through the old Star Trek grapevine that season 1 is garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe later on it soars to these great heights.
And then when you look back, and then you're like, then maybe this is bad.
But I feel like it's a really solid start. Like, yeah, that you can say there's some racist stuff like we talked about earlier, but all that stuff aside, I think is a Star Trek episode where you've got Starfleet going to this primitive planet and they overcome their problem with patience and politics. I think that was cool.
Yeah. A little bit of outwitting, a little bit of diplomacy, a little trying to maintain. Yeah, I don't know.
And if that's what Star Trek is, then I'm in. Like, I think that's cool.
Well, a lot of the episodes are about like choices and like morality choices and ethical choices or an idea, and then how these people would react to it, or how would they live their lives by it. But I don't know.
I think I like that we get to see a lot more of the characters in this one, a wee bit more of each person. So we spend a lot of time with Lieutenant Yar, and this is the first episode I thought she was kind of cool. She's neat, but I've seen media material as far as TNG goes. All I know really is I might have watched 1 or 2 movies and forgot about them, and I've seen images in the odd video game cover and stuff, so I know that Yar is not in this show very long. So I'm thinking,
Do you know what happens to her though?
no. So
Okay.
I'm thinking she must die or something. Or here's what I'm hoping doesn't happen.
Mm.
They ignore her. Like they get to season 2 and she's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like the season 2 comes around and the producers are like, okay, what worked, what didn't work. We didn't
And then
like.
they just cut the character.
Cut it completely. I hope that doesn't happen because I think she's a cool character.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked her scene with Picard earlier on before she goes down to the Plutonian planet and no, sorry, it's not Yar, it was Troy. He's having a conversation with Troy. So fuck, I can't remember. But he says to either Troy or Yar that he has seen his share of death.
Oh, that was Crusher. And
oh really? Shit. Oh.
Remember?
Yeah, that's right. She's asking, hey, I've seen what this vaccine does to people.
Or, yeah, the disease. And then, yeah, that was like a weird, poor me, Dr. Crusher moment.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like that. I like that moment where we see into him a little bit. I have seen my share of death, and it's cool.
A moment.
It's a moment, and he also has another moment, Picard, and I get, like I said with Yar, you know, he saw more of Yar in this one. I liked her, and we saw more Picard in this one, and I'm growing more fond of Picard now.
Mm-hmm. Characters are rounding out.
And everyone's definitely rounding out, and he mentions as well that when they talk about the Prime Directive, and he says, well, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have, Troy, I think, says, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have the Prime Directive? And he says, I have thought about that. So he's given some,
like, he realizes that the situation he would rather,
in the dark and at night when he's drinking his old Irish tea in bed, Picard, he's up in that ship and he's like, fuck these guys. Fuck these guys. And he's like, he's dreaming about what he can do to them and what he can do. Pay him back. They've stolen his head of security, and he's probably chewing his pillow that night. And then he goes to the bridge all formal. He's like, okay, we're ready to go. Let's be Star Trek again. Has his night moments where he punches stuff.
Where he just wants to give in to the easy answer of blowing up planets.
So I definitely warmed to Picard in this one. And what do you make? I also like, one of my other favourite scenes was Data and Geordi in their attempt at a joke. Data tries a joke.
Data tries to understand humor.
Aye. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah.
Cool. Because I thought it was neat.
Yeah.
And they're the humans, Data, Geordi and the gang are talking about stuff that's very human, jokes that are very subtle, like so subtle, and Data just doesn't get it.
It's hard to explain why a slip of the tongue would be funny.
Really?
You can't explain it, it just is.
And he's looking through his little, textbook in his head, and he's like, well, this is how a joke works.
Yeah, it's not about the math of a joke, it's just like a reaction. So
I'm liking Data's exploration of humanity and what makes a human, and I'm thinking, I hope they explore that more.
Yeah, there's lots more.
What did you make of the Lutan and the Ligonian situation in this? Like that whole storyline, did it work for you?
I think it was just a way for the writers to describe more of the background of like what this series will be about, like this Prime Directive and.
And I liked I thought it was cute. Like there was Lutan bragging and stuff to his friend, but his friend really loves the girl, his wife, and how he ends up getting nothing because he keeps pushing. He keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm like, okay, so it's a happy ending in that you get to see him being completely humiliated, and he has to just like Picard felt during this whole situation when he just yanks Yar away, and everything was turned around on him at the end, and he was the loser, and it was cool.
And then they just accept it because that's their society.
culture.
It's like, okay, well,
It's like
that's what happens.
Picard used their own culture against them.
Outwitted.
Yeah, he was outwitted, and I love that wee French joke that Data told
Mm-hmm.
Picard, and you can see that look on Picard's face. It's just
He's insulted.
he is furious.
It's
I thought it was cool.
funny.
So,
Riker's just like, drop it.
one thing I didn't like, okay, was again Wesley Crusher on the bridge. That was
Yeah, they're
dumb.
just shoehorning him in there. It's annoying.
They want to make something of this kid, and to me, I think Picard should be too. If Picard is a captain of a starship or any ship,
Mm-hmm.
he would have he would rule like with an iron fist.
So why do you think he's allowing it?
Because he's got feelings for Beverly Crusher.
In history? Because
There's
about
history.
the dad.
Yeah.
Wesley's dad. Maybe Picard feels kind of responsible for him.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I need to wait and see. But I think that the bridge is sacred. It should be a sacred place. And I don't think a real captain would allow any kid to come in and just sit down to amuse his mother or be the father figure that he never had. I think that Picard would just say, I don't know Picard, but a real captain would say, get out right now, back in that lift. Don't even be on the jet lift. Be gone. Like if you have a workplace, there's rules in place in a militaristic environment. You might say Starfleet isn't militaristic, but they still have orders and rules, and there'll be consequences. So I don't think that boy would have ever sat in one of those chairs. That was dumb. Maybe I'm thinking too much about that one.
That's an interesting question. Why you would allow it? Is it because it's bad writing? Is it to show Picard doesn't know how to deal with kids?
Maybe. I mean, he doesn't know how to deal with kids, right? And Riker was kind of shocked when Picard allowed him to stay and even sit down. It's like, Picard, you are violating the Prime Directive.
And Beverly Crusher knows how to.
She can get what she wants from Picard. I'm curious to see how that goes as well. So, overall, out of 10, is there a score on Code of Honor? We talked about Jaws the other day and we never gave Jaws a score because we talked about it being a perfect movie, so there's really no point. But I'm expecting a lot of these episodes to be up and down, and some will be great and some will be average.
Yeah.
I'd say that this one...
Is this your favorite so far?
Yeah. I enjoy it. It was definitely better than The Naked Now. The Naked Now was weird.
Yeah.
I'd say this one scores higher than that, so 6. And I gave Naked Now a 5. I give Code of Honor a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
And you?
Yeah, it was decent.
And so I think we should leave it there. So what did we just watch?
Star Trek.
And we will be watching way more Star Trek.
All of it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.